target acquired.
Another night of Dynamite in the books. Money in the Bank this past weekend. Paige officially not with WWE. Lots of fun stuff to talk about tonight, folks. Let's get this show on the road, shall we? I really wish I knew a better way to, like, fade out the music on this thing. I will get better at this, people. I promise. I promise. Alright, what's going on, everybody? Episode 23. Smells Like Wrasslin podcast on the Smells Like Cologne network. I am your host, Eric Cologne. Here again with another Dynamite review. And, a recap of the things going on in the world of professional wrestling this past week. How we doing tonight, everybody? Got a couple of people in the chat. Good evening. Good to see you all. Definitely a loaded card for tonight. 2 title matches. Moxley versus Brody King for the interim world title. Scorpio Sky and Wardlow for the TNT title in a street fight. We have Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir against the team of Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, which they are dubbing Thunderstorm. Oh, yeah, Doom. I totally forgot about Theory. But Theory's forgettable. That's why I forgot about him. Christian Cage and Luchasaurus appear to shit on people. And the tag team of Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland, otherwise known as Swerve in Their Glory, against the Butcher and the Blade, with the bunny at ringside. Oh. So yeah. So let's go over some of the news of the week before we get into tonight's show. I did watch Money in the Bank, like kind of sorta. I watched the matches that I thought would be worth watching, but I did have it on my laptop as I was grinding Pinnacles and Destiny 2 the other night. Let's there to talk about. Liv Morgan is the new SmackDown Women's Champion, defeating Ronda Rousey, cashing in the Money in the Bank briefcase, in which she won earlier that night. Good for Liv. It's a face that we haven't seen hold the title before or hold the title. And that's always a promising thing with WWE, because normally it's the same, like 3 or 4 people who hold their titles, and everyone else is pretty much a loser, with the exception of maybe like a Rollins or a Cody. What do I think about it? My prediction is that they're already saying that the match for SummerSlam is supposed to be Liv Morgan versus Ronda Rousey. I have my doubts. I believe that match will end up being turned into some sort of triple threat or a fatal four-way so that they don't have Ronda lose clean to Liv. They don't have Liv lose. I mean, unless they do make... If it's a one-on-one match, Liv is not winning. I'd be shocked. If she does win, it's not going to be with a finisher. It's going to be some sort of roll-up finish. That's what my prediction is. But I just don't have faith that they're going to put all their weight behind Liv Morgan in this title. You know, I wouldn't be surprised if, like, Ronda challenged and then Charlotte came back and it's a triple threat and then they put Natalya in there and it's a fatal four-way. You know, something like that. I just don't have... There's just no good faith with me right now in the terms of the booking of that company. But, you know, was it a great moment? Absolutely. Crowd went nuts. Liv got emotional. But I mean, like, that's what I feel like WWE is good for nowadays. Just those, like, sporadic moments. You're pretty much watching week to week in the hopes of there being a potential moment. And they draw their viewership in each week by teasing that moment. That there's going to be something that you've been wanting to see that's actually going to happen on television for you to watch and sharing that moment with the live audience. And it very rarely ever happens. I feel like if it does happen, it's a shell of what the fans hoped it would be, or it doesn't happen at all, or it's the complete opposite to build heat. So, was it a good moment? Yes. Am I excited for Liv? Yes. Do I have any faith or trust and excitement in the rest of her title reign? Absolutely not. Do I like Liv? She's all right. I liked her better in NXT. I felt like she still needed some work there. I felt like she could have worked on her character. She could have worked on her ring work. She could have worked on her mic skills. I felt like she definitely could have, I would have rather have seen her hold the NXT women's belt for a little bit before she got to the main roster. I feel like if you haven't held a main title in NXT, like, what the hell are you doing on the main roster? You know, if you couldn't get pushed to that point there, what makes you think you're going to get pushed to that point on the main roster? So I didn't really, I felt like she was a cake that still needed to be in the oven to be baked a little bit more. And then she would have been a fully baked Liv Morgan. But she is a partially baked Liv Morgan, and they're just going to roll with it. I thought the match of the night was Street Profits versus the Usos. I am fairly certain that this is not the first time. Actually, I'm definitely certain that this is not the first time that they have wrestled each other. I am pretty sure that they've wrestled each other a whole bunch of times. I feel like if I were watching the show week to week, I probably would have got burnt out with this feud already. But coming in and watching that match in a vacuum and not seeing any of the previous matches, it was definitely a great match. Usos win, retaining both the SmackDown and Raw Tag Team Championships. Commentary began to throw nuggets like there was some sort of dissension in the Street Profits. I don't know why they would mention that on commentary. Let's see where that goes. I mean, Jordan brought up a good point to me earlier today that basically they had teased the split between Swerve and Keith Lee and then just never really went about doing it. So I don't really know what that's all about. Austin Theory loses the United States title to Bobby Lashley in what was a decent match. And then they added him as an extra person to the Money in the Bank match, and he won Money in the Bank. So, yeah. So, I don't know what's going on with that. It seems like Vince is really putting a lot of his weight behind Theory. When you see that kind of push for that kind of guy, it reminds me of the pushes that they gave Roman. It reminds me of the pushes that they give Cena. You know, you just know when management is behind a wrestler. And, you know, it's sad because it's such a stark contrast to when management is not behind a wrestler and you look at their booking. So Theory won, and he'll eventually cash in I mean, listen, it is quite possible that he might cash in at SummerSlam at the end of the Brock and Roman match for all the titles. So, I mean, and then at that point, I guess the era of Theory begins. I have not been like a big Theory guy, you know what I mean? I mean, like I saw him in I've watched him in Evolve. I went to a couple of Evolve shows back in the day and seen him there. I've seen him on the Indies. You know, I saw him in NXT when he was part of the Way. I don't know, man. I mean, like he's like a mini young version of Cena without the charisma. I mean, like when you push a guy like that in that way, like I expect a certain level of charisma for him to carry his character. I think it took Roman several years of them really just pushing him and pushing him and pushing him and pushing him and pushing him, and then finally they broke and they turned him bad and they turned him heel, and his character took off because the face Roman was not someone that like I could get behind. Ben, I think you're 100% correct. I think if you're going to push Fury as a big-time heel, one of the people he should cash it against is Cody, because everyone wants to see Cody win that title. So, I mean, which means, like, he's going to be holding on to that Money in the Bank briefcase for a while, because I don't know what Cody's timetable is in terms of getting healthy. So I'm not sure if he's going to be ready within the 12 months that Theory has to cash in the contract. So my hope is that Cody gets well soon, because I definitely think that Raw needs that star power. But you know, like I mean, like, were there other guys I wanted to see the belt on? I mean, the briefcase on? Absolutely. I would have loved to have seen it on Rollins. I would have loved to have seen it on Riddle. And it didn't go. And it didn't go to either of them. It went to Theory, which was kind of a disappointment. I mean, the crowd was not happy about it. You could tell. A lot of times, I feel like they mask the fact that it's go away heat for a guy. And then they just say that, obviously the crowd's booing because he's a heel. It's not necessary. That's not necessarily the case. I honestly think that Theory has go away heat. That like no one's really looking for him to be the guy. They want Cody to be the guy. They want Rollins to be the guy. They want Riddle to be the guy. Like there are other people that the crowd wants to have be the guy. And WWE has just made a business out of not giving the people what they want. So, at least not all the time. So I don't know. I mean, I'm not in agreement with this, but who knows, man? They change up their plans so much. Who knows? Cody could come back and challenge Theory for the briefcase and beat him for the briefcase, and then it's just Theory is just a placeholder for the briefcase for the time being. They give it to Cody, and then Cody could cash in. There's a lot of different things that they could do with that. They could have Cody try and cash in, and Rollins interfere and keep him from cashing in, and then Cody wastes the whatever, and it ends up being some sort of triple threat between Roman, Cody, and Rollins. There could be so many things that they could do. I'm not honestly certain where they're gonna go, but we'll see. We'll see. We'll see where that goes. Paige wrote something in the Players Tribune as basically like a final goodbye. Her leaving WWE. I don't believe they extended her contract or asked her to re-sign. I mean, she's been injured for quite a while. She had that spine injury that was done at a house show when she was wrestling Sasha Banks. She's never been back since. She's gone on to do other side projects like, to her Twitch channel and stuff like that, but I'm very curious to see where she's going to go. I don't know how she is physically or mentally, because I know she was going through, it was reported that she, and I think she spoke on her going through a lot of mental issues, especially after the whole, Brad Maddox sex tape scandal kind of deal. So is she going to come back to wrestling? I don't know. Is she going to go to Hollywood? I don't know. Is she just going to make her career as a Twitch streamer? I don't know. She could really go anywhere. If she were to go back to wrestling, I feel like there's only if she was going to go back to WWE, they would have had her back, unless they're going to have her on a new contract for less money and she comes back because that's the only game in town. But I don't really feel like, oh, that biopic with Dwayne sucked. All right, I don't even want to hear that. That movie that she had, what was it, Fighting With My Family? No one gave two popcorn farts of a shit about that movie. And the only pull in that movie was a guy that wasn't the main character, which is The Rock. So that was pretty much it. So, no. And she wasn't even in that movie. It was someone else playing her. So, whatever. If she were to go back to wrestling, I say AEW. I mean, the only reason I say that is because if she wants anywhere near the types of exposure that she had in WWE, AEW is the only wrestling promotion on cable television right now aside from the WWE. So it makes more sense. They could use her experience. They could use her star power. They need someone who's a total package. She could talk. She could wrestle. She has a fan base. She has history. So that would be a boost in ratings. The women's division could sure use it because they don't have a lot of women who are a double threat in that women's roster. They have some women who could wrestle but can't talk. They have some women who could talk but can't wrestle. Paige could do both. So I think it would definitely be a benefit to the AEW roster if Paige decides to go back into professional wrestling, if she signed with AEW. So, there's that with that. I'm trying to think of any other things that were worth mentioning in this past week in wrestling. If any of you in the chat think of something, I'll definitely go over it. How's the damn CBS show survive it? Oh, are we talking about Women of Wrestling, Doom? They had a deal with CBS, right? So I mean, if Women of Wrestling, Women of Wrestling is already in. No, they didn't. I don't think CBS fired Tessa Blanchard. I believe what happened is, I guess they had a difference of opinion in terms of her booking, and they went their separate ways, and that's pretty much it. So it's already not off to a very good start. It had promised when they said that, AJ Lee was going to be a part of it, and Tessa Blanchard was going to be a part of it, and the owner of the Lakers was going to be a part of it. But honestly, it looked slightly promising because of the financial backing that it had and the star power that it had. But no one was going to watch that. I'm sorry. No one was going to watch that. I could get, if I were a betting man, I would bet money that Women of Wrestling would have, if you put it in a primetime spot, it would have less viewership than Rampage. Let's put it that way. And Rampage is on at 10 p.m. on a Friday. So that should tell you something. I honestly think it's never going to get taken off the ground. I think they're going to realize that there's just not a market for an all-women's promotion. I mean, unless you had a series, I'm talking about, unless you took every woman from every single wrestling promotion in America and put them on that roster, it's not going to happen. They currently have less female talent than any other promotion in North America, period. Female talent. Less female talent than any other promotion in North America. And if you could look at the talent of the women's divisions in all the major promotions right now, they're barely holding on. None of them are huge ratings draws. No one can ever tell me that there was a spike in ratings because of a women's match in either AEW or WWE, period. So I just don't think there's a market for it. I'm sorry. If they want to add that into another wrestling promotion, fine. But I do not think it's going to take off. I don't even think they're going to ever put on a first show. I think they got as far as they got. They got as far as they got. Ben asks in the chat, is Sasha coming to AEW? I don't know, man. There's been rumor that she's already been released, that they released her quietly. Sasha has not said anything. WWE has not outright said anything. So until there's actual confirmation, I'm honestly not sure what's going to happen with Sasha Banks. There have been a lot of people who I would have sworn were never going to go back to WWE, and they went back to WWE. Like Zelina Vega. I would have never in a million years expected her to go back to WWE, and she did. After her getting all this stuff released, the way that they treated her husband, Aleister Black, all this stuff, it just wasn't, it wasn't popping. I don't know. So, I'm not sure how that's going to play out. If Sasha were to come to AEW, the best thing for her to do is to say absolutely nothing. Let that be a surprise at a major show, All Out, Grand Slam, something like that. Either a pay-per-view. The only reason I mentioned Grand Slam as a big event because there's no other place that they're fitting. There's no other arena that they're putting in 20,000 plus people. Like, Grand Slam is a big event. It is their pseudo fifth pay-per-view, even though it's on television, just by the size and scale of the crowd. I'm telling you this right now. Like, they're putting tickets out there now for sale. I am of the opinion that the reason they sold those 20,000 tickets is because of Kenny Omega versus Bryan Danielson. You have got to put on some sort of match that even brushes its fingertips with the caliber of that kind of talent in that match. Like, Grand Slam, I'm telling you, they better book seriously, because the last thing you want is a cold New York crowd on live television, especially, and 20,000 people cold is not a good look at all. So Tony better bring out the mother effing big guns. I'm talking about he needs to have a big freaking match. My opinion, I think it might be Bucks versus FTR for all the gold at Grand Slam. That's a strong possibility. Otherwise, I mean, I doubt Punk's going to be ready by September. I don't know the extent of his injuries. They've been hush-hush about it. All I know is that it's a lower leg issue, so who knows? It could be a broken foot. It could be a broken shin. If you look at some of the last matches that Punk had, he was very ginger on one of his feet, so, like, something did happen eventually in the course of, like, from Revolution on with his foot that I think just progressively got worse until he was like, I don't think I could carry this belt with this kind of injury. Like, no way. So I'm not very sure. Let's see what's going on in the chat. She wanted to meet Miss Triple H. CBS said no and pulled the MJF and said fire me. I don't know. Like I said, I never had really any hope or expectations for the Women of Wrestling promotion. So whatever happened between Tessa and Jeannie Buss and CBS, to be honest, it's not on my radar, because I never expected anything to happen with that particular promotion. It just didn't. It lacked the interest. There isn't a big enough interest for specifically women's wrestling, and until women's wrestling gets better than what it is right now, I mean, is the interest larger than what it was previously? Yes, absolutely. I think NXT was the beginning of a resurgence of actual women's professional wrestling. And I think for quite some time they did right by women's wrestling. And then the 4 women that made it possible got sent to the main roster, and Vince fucking ruined them. He ruined them. He put Paige on Total Divas, a 19, 20-year-old with all these, adult women. They're all out getting shit-faced in the party life. Her whole gimmick was the anti-diva. Once they put her on Total Divas, I was done with Paige, because I already knew what was going to happen. Her entire gimmick was ruined at that point. At that point, she was just the diva then. And you know what? And it ended up spiraling. She ended up getting into substance abuse issues. The whole sex tape thing came out. She had a whole bunch of injuries, and it just snowballed one after another until she had an injury that she couldn't come back from, which was really a shame, because she was one of the most promising women. And she beat AJ Lee for the women's title on her first night on Raw. She held both the NXT and the women's titles. Ben asked, do you think we need to keep the ROH titles on TV? No, there's too many belts. The only belts that should be on AEW TV are AEW belts. But the problem is that Tony bought ROH and did a pay-per-view, and now is doing another pay-per-view, and is trying to build a pay-per-view without any television to build it. So now you're just building the ROH pay-per-view with backstage segments and clips, taking away from valuable AEW time that is already cramped and compact to promote Ring of Honor that doesn't even have television. They just have like 4 shows a year. And that's not a promotion. That's a side project to me. And I don't think that the ROH... If ROH had regular TV and they were defending their titles and having their own storylines on their own separate programming, and every once in a while an ROH champ or star showed up on AEW to have a match or defend it, that's one thing. But to have them... It's like if the Mets combine their farm team and they all travel together. It's just weird. But but when you go to Citi Field, the matches that the games that you're going to see are with the Mets. But in the 7th inning stretch, they have the Ducks come out. It's just weird. I don't like it. I think Tony should have. I don't know what his plan was. I don't know what he had in store when he bought them. I don't know what his future plans were with them, but it's been how many months since he bought Ring of Honor? It was since December, right? They had that homecoming show at Jacksonville where he made the announcement. So it's been like almost a year, and still there's no TV deal. There's like 3 people that they have that they say are Ring of Honor guys, and that's pretty much it. I'm not feeling it. Something needs to be done with Ring of Honor. Yeah. I feel so. Here's my opinion on this. Yeah, okay, Doom, I agree. The current state of Ring of Honor is definitely a microcosm of Tony Khan being stretched too far. I 100% agree. Ben, I agree that it was better television when the mid-card title was the star of the show, when they were having the TNT title defended. I think now with what happened tonight, I think they could go back to that. I believe the All-Atlantic title should be their traveling title, and I believe the TNT title should be their television title. So the TNT title should be a title that's defended on television on a semi-regular basis. Well, yeah, that's true also, Doom. It's the tape library, definitely. Like, if anyone were to think that it wasn't about the tape library, they're mistaken. It was definitely about the tape library. But, like, you have fans that want to see them on television, and they haven't done anything with the tape library either. So, like, what's going on? Are they signing a deal with HBO Max? Are they putting the entire, AEW content and ROH content on HBO Max? Are they starting their own streaming service? Like, what's going on? A lot of unknowns, but I believe that the All-Atlantic title should be the traveling title. Whoever has that title defends it in other promotions. I believe Pac is defending it at Rev Pro. So, Pac is already defending this title outside of AEW, which is good. That means he's an ambassador for the company. The belt and him are drawing itself to these indie promotions. It brings spotlight on AEW. It allows them to promote and to get other hardcore fans out there. To be quite honest, if you're at a show with Pac defending the All-Atlantic title, you're pretty much, I would say, I'm 99% sure that crowd is going to be consisted of purely hardcore fans. Purely hardcore fans. And I believe this was a discussion I was having with my buddies. Yes, correct. Well, yeah, like all continental. Yeah, exactly. Exactly right, Ben. I honestly, and I was having this conversation with a couple of my buddies earlier this week, and in regards to WWE and AEW. It is patently obvious right now that the fan bases are established. AEW is pretty much going to average about 1 million viewers a week on Dynamite, and probably somewhere between the realm of like half of that for Rampage on Fridays. The WWE is going to be lingering at that between 1.4 and 1.7 million for Raw on Mondays, and the 2 million on SmackDown on Fridays. And that's pretty much it. There are no casual fans anymore. There are only pro wrestling fans who watch AEW and New Japan and PWG and Impact and ROH. And then there are the WWE fans who enjoy the presentation of WWE and how they promote their stars and all that good stuff. I don't believe that there's not very many people who watch both brands, and there aren't very many people who are just casual enough that will you're trying to pull them one way or the other. The only thing I could think of is if the shows on both brands get better, and the fans are the ones who do the promoting for them in terms of telling their friends, I've been watching WWE lately and it's been awesome. It's like how it was back in the day. You gotta come over and watch with me. You gotta come over and I'm gonna order the pay-per-view, the premium live event or whatever. You gotta come over and watch this. Same thing with AEW. I invite people when I have like when I order the AEW pay-per-views at home, and I invite my friends, the majority of them, I say 99% of them I'm inviting are like hardcore fans. But I invite friends who don't watch wrestling at all. Like both men and women who watch the show and they're just like, holy shit, Like they're definitely pulled into it. Are they pulled into it for a weekly basis? No. But are they liking what they're seeing when they see it? Yeah. I don't know. Obviously, the pay-per-views may not be enough to turn someone who doesn't watch into watching, but technically that's supposed to be the point. You want your television shows, you want your pay-per-views to create new fans. Now, what kind of matches and what kind of writing and what kind of storyline should they do to create new fans? That's a matter of opinion. You have a lot of people that don't like the gimmick matches like Texas Death Match and Blood and Guts and Exploding Barbed Wire and all this kind of stuff. You have other people who will say, hey, that stuff is flashy, it's bloody, it's violent, it turns heads and draws eyeballs. And an argument could be made on both sides, you know what I mean? Like me personally, when Blood and Guts is on the television, I kind of tune out. I take out my phone, I text whoever I know who's watching the show right now, we critique it, we talk about it, but I'm not glued to the television for every second of that entire match. There's just too much stuff going on. You know, when like a Texas Death Match comes out, like I know that like there's going to be some crazy stuff, but like I like straight up professional wrestling. That's what I like. A match like Pac versus Orange Cassidy, a match like Daniel Bryan versus Jon Moxley, a match like CM Punk versus MJF. Those are matches that I like to see. But because I like it. I like the drama that's told in the act of professional wrestling and the technical side of it and stuff like that. If they could put a good story as a backdrop to that kind of wrestling, I'm all for it. But everyone likes different things, and it's kind of hard to please everybody. So either A, Tony's going to stick by his guns and stick with what he knows and be like, listen, I'm going to cater to the hardcore fans, and I'm going to let the hardcore fans speak for my product, and that's going to be it. Or he's gonna try and do some sports entertainment shit and try and take a page out of Vince's book to see if he could get more of a mainstream audience. To be quite honest, like I don't really believe that like WWE's audience is a mainstream audience. They do a lot of mainstream things on WWE, but I think WWE fans would be watching it regardless if there were people like Logan Paul, Bad Bunny, Pat McAfee, Johnny Knoxville. Those fans are going to be watching regardless of if those mainstream outside of WWE characters come in. I mean, look at what WWE is doing right now. They signed Logan Paul. Logan Paul is one of like the bigger draws in combat sports right now in regards to his boxing matches. Do I personally like the guy? I've never seen a Logan Paul video. I had no idea who he was until just people start saying, oh yeah, this YouTuber or TikToker or whatever is going to fight this guy in a match. I don't care for him at all. I don't really have much respect for what he does because he's just a guy who just does things for the views. So it's just whatever, like he's to me, is a mercenary. He's a hired gun. He'll go anywhere to bring it's someone a company will sign on to have him do some sort of shtick to bring eyes to their product, and then they let him loose. So, like whatever. Like me, like when people like me, like when they had like Bad Bunny on, I couldn't care less. Like to me, who the hell is Bad Bunny? I don't listen to his music. It's not my thing. I don't really care. But to the people who watch WWE who were Bad Bunny fans, this was a big deal. So I mean, I just don't think that you're going to gain. I don't think WWE is ever going to increase their audience, ever. I think they have whittled it down to just the hardcores, the hardcore WWE fans. Any hardcore professional wrestling fans, they lost over the years and went right over to AEW. Those who just haven't given up on wrestling entirely. And that's pretty much it. That's the way it's gonna stay. Dude, you want to know why I forgot about Logan Paul? Because I don't give a fuck about Logan Paul whatsoever. He's just some guy who does things for attention. That's it. And I don't have any respect for anyone like that. Hey, listen, you're making your money. He's a multimillionaire. He's young, whatever. I don't care. I don't fucking care. So, WWE signed him. Congrats, man. But, I mean, I just don't see them. I don't think he's going to. Will he pull in an audience for the first couple of weeks he's on TV? Maybe. Will he be able to sustain that? No. Why? Because he's not the one running the show. It's Vince McMahon. And Vince McMahon will never ever increase his fan base. WWE won't, and I say this all the fucking time, WWE will not get better until Vince McMahon has zero influence, effect, decision-making, control, power, nothing tying him to WWE whatsoever, and someone completely takes a hold of the reins and changes shop. It will never change. It will never change. Now, whether or not whoever takes shop is just going to be like, hey, listen, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. We're averaging 3 million viewers total a week between our two shows, and whatever NXT is right now, we're just going to keep on keeping on. We're just going to keep doing what Vince normally does, and that's pretty much it. Or they're going to be like, hey, listen, we're changing things up. We're going to do something different. Who knows? So that's it for the wrestling news and information of the week. Let's get into the Dynamite review. So the interim AEW World Championship is on the line. The TNT Championship is also on the line. Interim world title holder Jon Moxley is going to defend against Brody King. Brody King won the Royal Rampage on Friday, which is a 20-man battle royal, by brutally choking out Darby Allin and eliminating him as the final person in that battle royal to earn the title shot. Scorpio Sky will defend the TNT Championship against Wardlow in a street fight. I'm not a fan of them naming Toni Storm and Thunder Rosa Thunderstorm, because there is no AEW Women's Tag Team Division, but whatever. So Thunderstorm, which is the AEW Women's Champion Thunder Rosa, and Toni Storm, a tag team match against Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir, which was set up last week on Rampage. Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland will team against the Butcher and the Blade. That was also set up on Rampage. It looks like Swerve is probably going to start feuding with Tony Nese eventually, after Tony Nese eliminated him from the Battle Royal that week. So, that's a thing. So let's begin the review. So pretty much the night started out with the TNT title match, street fight between Wardlow and Scorpio Sky. Scorpio Sky came out with Dan Lambert, Ethan Page, and a bunch of guys who they made it look like they were part of American Top Team, but I'm pretty sure they were just like local indie talent. Wardlow beats Scorpio Sky and becomes the new TNT champion. I was a little bit shocked about this because I didn't know whether or not it was too soon to put the title on Wardlow. I felt like maybe that they were going to do some tomfoolery because it was a street fight and cheat him out of the belt. There's always that possibility that MJF could have came back and screwed Wardlow out of the belt. There was 1,000 different things that could have happened the second they said it was a street fight and American Top Team was out there. But what they did was they just used it to show how over and how powerful Wardlow is. He kicked out of a belt shot. He beat the hell out of the entire American Top Team. He powerbombed Scorpio Sky a gajillion times and pinned him for the win. Confetti everywhere. Big pop from the crowd. Once again, the TNT title exchanges hands in the hometown of the late, great Brody Lee. And Wardlow's the champ. I hope that they book him properly. I think he has the potential to be a mega star in AEW if they treat him correctly. And, this title is just one step on that road. So I'm really hoping that he has a solid title reign. They build up good contenders for him. He continues to grow on the mic. He continues to grow in the ring, and he can elevate that championship and elevate the people who fight him also. That is the role of a champion. But, he had to go, he endured a couple of nut shots. He endured a belt shot, distractions, the whole nine, but he won. So kudos to Wardlow, the new TNT champion. Best of luck to Wardlow in his title reign. They do a video segment backstage with Moxley. Moxley said he wouldn't be caught off guard. He says a lot of people think that, when's the time that someone's going to catch Mox off guard and put a beating on him that he won't get up from. But Mox said that people forget, people call Brody a monster, but Mox is a monster too. He wants to know what kind of heart Brody King has. And, he basically does he says the Blackpool Combat Club model, step up or get stepped on. So that was setting up the match for later that evening. Mark Sterling and Tony Nese were backstage trying to sign a petition to get Swerve Strickland removed from the roster. They asked Keith Lee to sign it. Keith Lee says they've had issues, but Swerve is still his partner and they keep winning, unlike Nese who loses. So I do not know what's going to happen with Swerve and Keith Lee. I kind of thought that it was a little bit... I just thought it was dumb for Swerve to say something like Keith Lee is dead weight. Like, that to me is a breakup. You know what I mean? When you do... Not only do you eliminate your partner, but you insult your partner, and then they just put them back together. So I don't know what was going on with that. They're trying really hard to about face from that, but it's kind of hard to ignore that, like, Swerve kind of dicked over Keith Lee. But they've been winning. Keith is right. They've been getting in the ring and winning each time. Christian Cage and Luchasaurus comes out. Christian Cage used to have the moniker of outwork everyone. I'm wondering if he's going to change that to out heel everyone, because this guy is the biggest asshole since MJF in AEW, and it's fucking phenomenal. He just comes out there and just says the most foul shit to people. It's great. Christian says the fans want to know why he turned. He wants to know why Luchasaurus, the fans want to know why Luchasaurus remained aligned with Christian. Excuse me. I was playing Call of Duty Zombies until 4 o'clock in the morning, so I apologize. Whatchamacallit? So the fans want to know why Luchasaurus is still sticking with Christian Cage. The Hardys music plays. Matt Hardy comes out. He called Christian the Michael Jordan of being an asshole. He said that Jungle Boy was his friend. Christian screwed him over. He said Jungle Boy didn't deserve it. Christian said Matt didn't know half the things he knew about Jungle Boy, and he's starting to make it sound like his brother's the sober one. Savage. Hardy said Christian was just here to use Luchasaurus to make as much money as possible. Hardy said he knows he was hypocritical. He was big money mad. He created the Hardy family office to make money off of Butcher and Blade and Private Party and all those guys, and he regrets it. And he's here to make sure that no one else gets taken advantage of. Christian said Matt was only out here because of his ego. He knows that Christian is one of the biggest stars in the company, and that's the only reason why he's out here, to share the spotlight with him. He said Matt will use anybody to get himself over: his kids, his wife, his property, his father-in-law, and he'll even turn a blind eye to his brother's issues just so he can ride his coattails for one last run. He called Matt the biggest embarrassment to his family. Matt basically had enough, attacked Christian. Luchasaurus beat the shit out of him and put him through the timekeeper's table, and that was the end of Matt Hardy for tonight. Video package was aired that recapped Blood and Guts. If you haven't had the opportunity to watch the Matt Menard promo that they did after Blood and Guts on YouTube, take a moment of your time and watch it. That was a phenomenal, emotional promo that both members of 2.0 put out. I thought it was fantastic. They showed a little snippet of that in tonight's episode. If you really want to see the full thing, which was phenomenal, definitely go onto YouTube and watch that. Let's see what's going on in the chat right now. Well, Scorpio couldn't carry as TNT champ because, number one, he got injured, and number two, they were ruining him. He first was heel, then he was face, then they turned Sammy heel, then they turned Sammy face. The stuff with Cody really screwed up the last 2 or 3 TNT titles. Now that Cody's gone, Scorpio's out of the picture, Sammy's out of the picture, it's time to get back on track with the TNT title with Wardlow. Wardlow should be defending every freaking week. They should be building someone up in the meantime to eventually challenge him for the title. But let's hope this is a step in the right direction for the TNT champ. Yeah, I mean, listen, I know that a lot of people believe, and I'm seeing this in the chat right now, that like Keith Lee's had horrible booking. Listen, they could have utilized Keith Lee in a dozen different ways that were probably better than how they're utilizing him now. But let's remember, Dynamite is 2 hours. AEW has a mega roster of a lot of guys. And I say this every week, and I will continue to say this every week just to remind y'all. There's just not enough vacancy in the inn for everybody. Now, in an instance where you're getting all these injuries, having an overstacked roster is great because there's always someone worth seeing on AEW television, no matter who is injured or not. I mean, to be quite honest, I guess the ratings for this week should be a telling a sign of whether or not, when guys like MJF and Punk and Danielson and Adam Cole aren't on television, are those ratings going to really stay up over 1 million? Now, Blood and Guts brought them back to normal, but that was a specialty event. It was coming off of Forbidden Door. It was a big-time thing. So I'm very curious as to what the viewership would be for Dynamite tonight. We'll probably find that out tomorrow around like 4 or 5 o'clock Eastern. So there's just not enough time for guys like Keith Lee to get like this singles push and to put all this spotlight on him. There's just other people out there. Will he get his moment? Yes. I am about 90% sure that when Keith Lee signed with AEW, Tony was like, listen, like, it may not be today, it may not be tomorrow, but I'm going to give you your shot. Remember Pac. Everyone thought, what's going to happen with Pac? Is he going to get his shot? And he fucking got his shot, and he's a champion. I just think that with the roster that AEW has and the limited amount of television they have, it's just going to take longer than usual. I'm sorry, guys. I don't know why. I always get like this. I wish I knew why. And I don't want to drink a Red Bull at 10 o'clock at night when I have work in the morning, so I apologize. What was I going to say? The expectations of builds and guys getting pushed, it has to be scaled back. This is not WWE where they have over 6 hours of television a week to build somebody. This is not the case. I know that no one wants to see anyone get built on Dark and Elevation, neither do I. So it comes down to Dynamite. Rampage okay as a secondary, but it comes down to Dynamite. And there's just 2 hours of television with commercial breaks, so what? That would make it maybe an hour and a half, hour and 25 minutes? I don't know, guys. I think we have to just readjust our expectations in terms of the speed of someone getting pushed and given a run. Because AEW just doesn't have the time to give all that television time to people in the way that we're used to. I just think that what I've begun to learn as an AEW fan in the last 3 years is to adjust my expectations. I need to realize that this is obviously not WWE. They do not have the amount of television time that they need to push guys, so things are just going to go slower. That's my opinion on it. Claudio Castagnoli and Jake Hager were backstage. The former WWE tag team partners when they had that We the People gimmick. Hager said that Claudio wasn't tough as him. He wasn't as hard as him. Pointing out Claudio had never won a world championship, not in Ring of Honor, not in WWE, anywhere. Unlike Hager, who's actually won titles. Hager was the heavyweight champ in WWE, so he has that for him. He also said that he's an undefeated MMA fighter, which is actually true. Claudio said he beat Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door. He beat Jericho's team at Blood and Guts. And now he's going to go 3-0 against Hager, so it looks like they're going to be fighting soon. Speaking of Keith Lee, Swerve in Our Glory, the tag team of Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland defeat the Butcher and the Blade with the Bunny at ringside. A little bit of a miscommunication during the match. It wasn't really the smoothest tag match I had ever seen, but the more important part really happened at the end. I do like seeing Butcher and Blade on television. I think that they are an essential part of the tag team division. Small guy and a big guy that could really work with anybody. When Butcher was out with injury, I think it really hurt the tag team division. So I like Butcher and the Blade. I like their gimmick. I like their role in AEW. Who's to say they won't get some sort of title in the future? But as of right now, they're playing their roles to perfection. Swerve and Keith Lee win the match. At the end of the match, Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks come out. Hobbs is tired of the disrespect. I forgot what he called them. He called them like something bitches. I don't know. Do you remember, Doom, what he called them? He called them something. But basically Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks are putting out basically saying, we're a better tag team than you. You guys keep coming out. You guys keep winning. You guys keep thinking you're the best, but we're the best. As they're saying that, the Young Bucks music hits. The Young Bucks come out. Big FTR chant came out because the Young Bucks are saying they're the best tag team in the world, but let's be quite honest. FTR is the most over tag team in professional wrestling right now. The only teams that even come close to that are the Bucks and the Usos. That's pretty much it. Matt Jackson proposes Triple or Nothing for next week. They're going to do a 3-way tag match for the titles. It's going to be the Young Bucks versus Swerve in Our Glory versus the team of Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs representing Team Taz. Will the Bucks win? Probably, because I honestly think the all roads lead to FTR and the Bucks in another match for all the gold. They're gonna do a winner take all. Bucks could walk away with all the titles. FTR could walk away with all the titles. That's where I think it's going. Pardon me, people. They have a House of Black promo. Basically, Black warning Moxley that Brody King's gonna freaking kill him. To make a long story short. Eddie Kingston comes out selling the back injury that he was selling at the end of Blood and Guts. He congratulated Wardlow. Shivani asked about Jericho. He congratulated everyone on his team, and he didn't decide for Claudio, even Claudio. That's definitely going to be an eventual feud. He said he turned his attention to... he basically said that Jericho made him a liar, that he didn't taste his blood, that he didn't make him tap out, so he says it's not over. Jericho interrupts on the video screen. They show Ty Conti slams a car door onto Ruby Soho's hand, injuring her. It's definitely no secret that like Ruby Soho and Eddie Kingston are friends. She's been a part of his video packages. She's even been a part of some of the pull-aparts that Kingston had with Punk in the backstage. If you watch those episodes, she was the one that was there. So, you know, I'm assuming that's going to lead to some sort of mixed tag match with Kingston and Ruby versus probably Sammy and Ty. We'll see where that goes. I mean, I'm definitely with, I was talking with my buddy Ben earlier today, and I'm of the opinion that this feud has gone on for far too long. Blood and Guts should be the final fight of a feud. But now it's just the middle fight of a feud, and I just feel like it's just going on a little bit too long, so I'm hoping that they wrap up this feud sooner rather than later. Dark Order cuts a promo. They basically tease announcing that they're done as a team, but they basically said they're going to stay together forever. There was 10, there was John Silver, there was Alex Reynolds, there was Anna Jay, and there was Evil Uno. No Colt Cabana, no Stu Grayson. Stu Grayson is gone from the company. Colt Cabana, I have no idea where Colt Cabana is in. I haven't seen him in a really long time. But that's really fine. I mean, I'm not really missing Colt Cabana too much. I'm not worried about his, and you know, if before, you know, I get, you know, in the hopes of not sounding too cold and heartless, Colt Cabana owns Pro Wrestling Tees. The guy has a very successful company. He's going to be fine. He doesn't need to wrestle to make his money. So, I mean, if he's not if we never see him wrestle at AEW again, in my opinion, it's not the biggest loss in the world. You'll still probably see Colt Cabana wrestle, you know, at certain points in time somewhere. I just don't see it happening in AEW very often. QT comes out. I mean, to be honest, this segment really was to put over -1 and bring a spotlight on Brody Lee and the Dark Order, and that's pretty much it. Hangman came out and they all beat the shit out of QT after he was mocking little -1. I am not really the biggest fan of having -1 on television. I think he's just been way overexposed. I don't want to see him at all. I don't want to see him on Dark. I don't want to see him on Elevation. I don't want to see him on Rampage, and I don't want to see him on Dynamite. He should only pop up once, maybe twice a year for a Brody Lee tribute show and a show in Rochester. Otherwise, I never want to see the kid again, to be quite honest. He's young. Let him do his thing, go to school, blah, blah, blah. And when he becomes 18, maybe he'll be a wrestler, but I just don't ever want to see him again. They've been doing this thing lately where they bring out Jim Ross for hour 2 of the show, and they give him his own entrance and stuff. I guess that's kind of cool. I mean, you know, he's a very special announcer. He's also getting old. He's gone through a lot of things, cancer, Bell's palsy, and stuff like that. So I think it's nice that they're limiting his television time because, you know, sometimes it's just, he makes a couple of mistakes here and there. But I mean, like, Jesus, I mean, I don't know if I would be able to go to work if I had Bell's palsy, my wife died, and I had cancer, and I was old, and I was fat. So props to JR for getting up in the morning and showing up to work, even if it's for half of the show. So, kudos to him. Rush with Andrade El Idolo and Jose, the assistant, defeated Penta Oscuro with Rey Fenix and Alex Abrahantes. This is an awesome match. I love Lucha, so it was really cool. I love Penta. I love Rush. It was definitely very cool to see them wrestle. I'm just pissed off that it ended in a fuck finish again. There was a distraction and a low blow. The only thing that I'm excited, the only thing that makes me excited and hopeful for this is because this means we could possibly get Andrade and Rush versus the Lucha Brothers, which would be an incredible Lucha tag team match. So I'm very excited for that. Eventually, that's got to be coming soon. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. But I definitely am excited to see that match. Samoa Joe versus Jay Lethal was announced for the Death Before Dishonor pay-per-view. They're doing a Ring of Honor pay-per-view. That's one match on the card. They announced another match on the card later that night, which we'll talk about. But, give me a second. Ooh. All right. And I got some caffeine here. I'm not a coffee guy. I think it tastes awful. I'm not really a tea guy either. I just like my sugary carbonated beverages. A Red Bull every once in a while if I'm really in the pit. Otherwise, Pepsi's my number one, Coke's my number two. But I would love me a cherry vanilla Coke right now. Perfection. Perfection in the bottle. Lethal, Sanjay Dutt, Satnam Singh were basically pretty much promoting the title match. Let's see what happens. I mean, I don't know who Samoa Joe is actually signed with, if it's Ring of Honor or AEW. So if they take the title off of him, I would love to see a Samoa Joe Jon Moxley match for the interim title. Holy shit. With Joe not having that title, that could definitely free himself up for another Samoa Joe versus CM Punk match for a title down the line. Holy shit. So, but Ring of Honor is still doing its thing. They're going to have a pay-per-view later this month. Will I be ordering it? Probably. I love wrestling. Why the hell not? Especially since they're going to do FTR versus the Briscoes Part 2 for all the belts. Fuck it. Let's do it. The ones downstairs asking for the ones downstairs asking for nourishment. What are you talking about, dude? What are you talking about? Anywho. Sterling and Nice were backstage looking for more signatures to get Swerve fired. They run into the Best Friends. They basically signed Nice versus Orange Cassidy for Rampage. That should be a fun match, definitely. Nice is a great wrestler, so is Orange Cassidy. Should be a fun match. It's worth watching on Dynamite. The Acclaimed and the Gun Club team up to fight against Roughing It, which is Bear Boulder and Bear Bronson, which is, I think they're called Bear Country, and Leon Ruff and Fuego del Sol. The Acclaim were about to do their entrance. The Gun Club grabbed the mic from Caster, not letting him do his rap. Pretty much everyone was involved in this match, but at a certain point, Austin Gunn tagged himself in so he could get the pin instead of the Acclaimed. They get into a fight. Then Billy Gunn levels Max Caster with a lariat. So this is the official face turn of the Acclaimed. They're too over to be heels, so it works out. And the Gun Club are heels. That should be a great rivalry. I think the Acclaim deserves some spotlight and a good feud. They're going to be phenomenal faces. The Gun Club are phenomenal heels. I could see them actually becoming faces if they end up teaming up with Danhausen in the future. But otherwise, I'm very excited to see these two tag teams face off. It should be a lot of fun. Anthony Bowens is a phenomenal wrestler. I'm so glad that he's healthy now. And I love Max Caster. They are a fantastic, fantastic tag team. So definitely looking forward to seeing great things from them. A Miro video promo aired. It looks like he is going to be hunting for Malachi Black. That's going to be an awesome feud and match. Very excited for that. Very, very excited for that. Miro is fantastic. This Redeemer gimmick is incredible. I just want him to bring out CJ Perry. He keeps on talking about his hot, flexible wife. I want to see the hot, flexible wife. His wife is smoking hot. Like, smoking hot. She needs to be on television. She shows up on television, she's going to get a huge fucking pop. Miro and Lana are going to be the... Or I don't... They're probably not going to call her Lana. They'll probably call her by her name, CJ Perry. Maybe they'll call her Catherine Joy. Who knows? But it's going to be phenomenal. So I can't wait for that. Miro's the man. Him fighting Malachi Black is going to be awesome. Very excited for that. Let's see what else. Women's tag match. Thunderstorm, which is Thunder Rosa and Toni Storm, defeat Nyla Rose and Marina Shafir. So, it's a fine match, and they won. That's pretty much it. Thunder Rosa is still champ. I still think she needs more worthwhile contenders. She beat Nyla Rose. She beat Toni Storm. She beat Marina Shafir. She's beaten a lot of people, so, who really else is left that's a legit challenger that would make a title match with Thunder Rosa worth something watching? So, I don't know. Dude, what are you talking about? What does music hot mean? Use English. Jade Cargill and the baddies were backstage. She was annoyed about Stokely Hathaway recruiting Layla Gray to the baddies. Layla Gray came out trying to shake their hands looking fine as hell. No one wanted to shake her hand. But they said, listen, I prefer 3-on-2 rather than 2-on-2, so we added another baddie. Red Velvet's injured, so, they added someone in to take her place. So, there's that. The Rampage for, the lineup for Rampage this Friday, Eddie Kingston versus Konosuke I can't pronounce that last name. Takashita. Serena Deeb and Mercedes Martinez are in action. I think they've been running around as a tag team, so, there's that. Jonathan Gresham and Lee Moriarty versus the Gates of Agony, which I believe are those two big motherfuckers that are with Tully Blanchard and Brian Cage. So there's that, a big hoss trio. I love big meaty men bumping meat. I love big matches like that shit. And Orange Cassidy versus Tony Nese. They got a lineup for Fyter Fest on July 13th. Claudio Castagnoli versus Jake Hager. And the AEW Tag Team Championships are going to be on the line. The Young Bucks versus Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland versus Ricky Starks and Powerhouse Hobbs. That should be an incredible match. Death Before Dishonor lineup, which is 10 days later on the 23rd. The ROH Television Championship is on the line. Samoa Joe, the champion, fighting Jay Lethal, the challenger. The ROH Pure Championship fight is Wheeler Yuta, the champion, versus Daniel Garcia. That's going to be a great match, which brings me to the next segment. Daniel Garcia said that Yuta doesn't strike an ounce of fear into his heart. He's like, I don't care if you want to call me a pro wrestler, sports entertainer. But what you will call me is the best. So that's going to be a great match because Daniel Garcia, regardless of his gimmick as a sports entertainer, is a phenomenal professional wrestler. So very excited for that. FTR were backstage. They said no match had ever taken the most out of them except for that match at Supercard of Honor. And there are still some who don't think that they're the best in the world, so they challenge the Briscoes again for one more match. That's obviously going to be a great match. They can't not have a good match. William Regal joins commentary. It was AEW Interim Championship on the line. Jon Moxley defeats Brody King. Really good match. Jon Moxley and Brody King. Jon Moxley could work with big guys because they are usually low and lumbering brutes. And Jon Moxley is a brawler and a good like mat wrestler. So I definitely think that was a good combination, having him fight Brody. Now obviously this continues the long-standing, well not long-standing, but the obvious pattern of new champions fighting big monsters the first time that they get their belts. So obviously Mox is going to fight Brody. Who's going to his next challenger? Who knows who that's going to be? Maybe it's going to be someone else from the House of Black, like Buddy Matthews or Malachi Black. Even though I feel like the road Malachi Black is about to take is going to go towards Miro. So either Malachi Black beats Miro and that builds him up for a match against Moxley, or the other way around. So we'll see. We'll see how that goes. But yeah, that was pretty much it. Another great match. It went a little bit past 10 o'clock. It was about 3 minutes after the hour. But it was it was a solid show. Nothing really super exciting. Wardlow winning was great. The matches that they're setting up in the future for AEW and Ring of Honor are going to be great matches. As a pro wrestling fan, I'm excited. I'm getting the matches I want. They're dream matches. They cater to me specifically as a hardcore fan. I like watching AEW because 9 times out of 10, they give me exactly what I want. And to be quite honest, I treat my entertainment like I treat my food. If I go to a restaurant and I order a cheeseburger, 2 patties with bacon, pickles, lettuce, tomatoes, ketchup, no onions, and someone delivers me a grilled cheese sandwich, I am not going to go to that restaurant anymore because they don't give me what I want as the paying customer. That's WWE. They're the ones who give me the goddamn grilled cheese sandwich. It's AEW that's giving me the cheeseburger, 2 patties with bacon, lettuce, tomatoes, pickles, and ketchup, no onions. That's how I feel about it. That's my final thoughts for tonight. I want to thank you guys for tuning in tonight. A lot of exciting things are coming together with the chat. Maybe a potential partnership with, I won't say any more than that, but I have a lot of things working behind the scenes that are looking to grow and increase the channel. I will be looking to transfer over the Cologne Chronicles gaming episodes. If you notice, they're no longer on the channel anymore. They will be moving over to Twitch. So once that Twitch channel is created and once a steady schedule is made, I will be promoting that on the channel. I have realized that the market for having a Twitch channel at 11 o'clock at night on a Wednesday is not a great time. It's about as good as Dynamite at 10 p.m. on a Friday. So once I figure out a day to get really good exposure in terms of a gaming channel, I will be letting you know what that schedule is, but I do have plans for that, as well as also a TV movie channel as well, because that, aside from pro wrestling, watching shows and movies is a big passion of mine, so I definitely would like to share that passion with you guys through the channel. So that's going to be it for tonight. I'll be signing off. Thank you for those in the chat. Thank you to Ben and to Doom for interacting in the chat tonight. I appreciate your guys' support. Again, my friend Evan's new EP, Craving, is out. Evan, spelled EVVAN. It is on Apple Music, Spotify, and other streaming platforms. Go out there, stream her song and the rest of her music and support her. Support the guys over at Boone Syndication. Their YouTube channel is on YouTube, obviously. A great gaming network. Know the guys there personally. Good guys. Give them a subscribe. Give them some likes and support. Thank you very much for everything, guys. I appreciate the support as we keep moving forward. And have a great night.